Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to film a tutorial for you guys, and this tutorial is a little bit more exciting than my average because this is a tutorial featuring the Morphe x Jaclyn Hill palette. I did get my hands on this about 2 days ago. I have not used it. I was out of town. I came home late yesterday and I opened it and I was like, oh, and then I just closed it and went to sleep because I was exhausted. So today was my first time using it here on camera, so you're getting my first impression of the product as a whole. And I will say, now that I have used it, that I do think that this is a really nice palette. This retailed for, I think it is $38.99, and if you break it down, that is $1.11 per eyeshadow. And this palette comes with 35 eyeshadows, and when I initially saw it, I thought that she did a really great job of putting a nice variety of shades together. And the thing that stuck out to me and is especially important in any palette that I buy, even though a lot of them don't have it, is having a really nice transition shade. I hate having a palette that I have to dig into another eyeshadow palette for, or dig into another eyeshadow to get the proper transition shade. And here, I feel like she did a really great job of incorporating so many different shades that you can use it for your transition shade if you're light to medium or dark. And I know when you get a little bit deeper in complexion, transition shades can be a little bit tricky, and you have to get one that works for you. And I think here, she gives you definitely some great options. So that was a plus to me. I will say that I have 3 Morphe palettes, and they are not as great a quality as I would like for them to be. I use them more on my clients, and I love their mattes. Like, I think their mattes are super pigmented. But when it comes to their shimmers, I feel like their shimmers need work. They have to be applied with Fix Plus to me. That is just my experience with them. And they look beautiful once they're applied with Fix Plus. But I think the quality is just kind of mediocre. It's not terrible, but it's not the best. And I think in this palette, they definitely kicked it up a notch, and they did a really great job. The shimmers that I used in here were super pigmented. I did not need any Fix Plus. This whole look was used just strictly with brushes, and I didn't have to add anything. So I was really happy about that. And if you look at those inner tear ducts, girl, they are beaming to perfection. So I was very impressed. And I will say that overall, the palette is super nice. I think that Morphe needs to go ahead and make this a standard as far as quality, and if they need to bump up the price of their products, like, I think they should definitely do that, in my opinion, because this is great, and I feel like they do so much more and just get better. You just get better products. Like, I just think that they did a great job with this. And yeah, $38.99 is expensive if you think about Morphe, because on average, I think their palettes range from $20 to $25, but with this, I was impressed. And I think that if you think about it, when you buy a Too Faced eyeshadow palette, or if you buy a Anastasia eyeshadow palette, you're getting 12 shadows for about $45. So you are getting more for your money with this. I just think that, you know, we've just become so accustomed to it being more affordable that it's like kind of like, ooh, girl, like, that's kind of pricey. But I think they did a great job. I think it's totally worth the money. Based off of my use today, I will use it some more and keep you guys posted. But so far, I am loving it, and I'm so particular with my eyeshadows. I think she did such a great job with this palette. There are 2 downfalls to this palette for me, not with the product in itself, but number 1 is the packaging. I think this packaging is absolutely horrible. It is cardboard, it is cheap, it's flimsy. I don't think it's the most durable, in my opinion. I feel like they should have just stuck to the Morphe plastic encasing and just kind of made it her own. I don't know if it was like a cost thing and trying to keep within the budget, so they made it a little bit cheaper, but I just am not feeling it, and I feel like it's not going to be very forgiving. If you get any makeup products on it, it's going to stain it. So I don't like the packaging. I think it's very cheap. I think they could have done better. I do think that the magnets are really good because you do have to use a little bit of muscle to get it open and closed. The actual inside of the palette is decent. I mean, it's cardboard, so I still feel like it's kind of cheap and flimsy, but, you know, it's pretty, like the silver. I love silver. And the other downfall to this product is that there are no eyeshadow names on here, and I know that all the other Morphe palettes don't have eyeshadow names on them, but I felt like for this one, they should have made an exception and placed the eyeshadow names at the bottom of each shadow just to make it a little bit easier. It did come with a page that had the eyeshadows colors with the names underneath, but I mean, let's be real, who's gonna walk around with that? Like, not me. And I felt like it made it a little bit difficult for doing the tutorial because I was like, okay, I'm gonna be using this shade, okay, I'm gonna be using that shade, but you know, those are like minor details. But overall, all in all, this palette is really nice. I love it so far. This blue shade, which is what I used on my lid today, is what spoke to me. I was like, when I saw that color, I was living for it. So yeah, overall, I think that this palette is definitely a winner. I definitely suggest it. It's not all the hype. I'm not huge into Morphe. I will be honest with you. I'm not like a huge Morphe fan. I use their palettes for my like freelance work and when I do makeup tutorials on other people, and for that it serves its purpose great, but for me, I just have never had a great experience with it. And I've never used their brushes before, so I did order a pack, and it's like the rose gold set. And I will say that the brushes did not feel like super quality to me. The actual brush handles, I don't think that the actual brush in itself was bad. I did use several of them here on this tutorial. It was my first time using those brushes, and I will say they're pretty decent. Like, for the price point, I can't be mad at it. I think that as far as price point, I think the Real Technique ones are kind of in the same bracket, and they have a little bit better quality to me, but these weren't terrible. They're definitely not like the Sigma or Zoeva brushes at all. Even like Real Techniques, I think, is better, and I love Real Techniques brushes. I just feel like they just are very like cheapy in that kind of aspect, but I keep looking over there because that's where the brushes are. But I feel like they're just kind of like, you know, I guess you get what you pay for, you know? So yeah, this will conclude this intro on to the tutorial. I hope you guys enjoy. Bye guys. Okay, so I'm going to be using this palette right here. I have not used it yet, so this will be my first time using it, and I will let you know what I think of the pigmentation and of the color payoff and things like that as I go along. So I'm going out tonight. I really do not know what look I have in mind, but I'm just gonna, I don't know, like this blue color right here is really like speaking to me. It's a shimmery blue, and I will say that she did do a really good job of having a lot of variety as far as transition shades. So I feel like that's definitely a plus. I think that sometimes there are not enough transition shades, or I have to dip into my own transition shade to create a look that I like. So because the palette doesn't have names, I'm just gonna have to show you as I go along. I don't know the names and I don't have a paper that has all the names. So the first shade I'm going to use on my lid is going to be this shade right here. And I did also order some Morphe brushes, so this is one of them. I will say right off the bat that the barrels do not feel very quality. They feel very cheap, and they feel like kind of like a pencil to me. They're very just lightweight, and I don't necessarily know if that's a good or bad thing. I'm just used to Zoeva, and I'm used to MAC, and I'm used to Sigma brushes. Those are all like super quality brushes as far as I'm concerned, and I've never used Morphe, so this is my first run with it. I can see that like a few of the hairs are coming out already, and I just literally dipped it into the pan, so we'll see. I've never used Morphe brushes, but I do want to give them a fair try because, you know, they are like all of the rant and rave right now, and I really want to see if they were worth the hype, especially for the price point. They're pretty affordable. Okay, so right off the bat, I will say that this matte is giving me a really good color payoff. It's very blendable. The brush is very soft as well. I did say that this is my first time ever using Morphe brushes in their products. I have used their eyeshadows in the past, and I think they're decent for the price point. I don't think they're the best. I use them on my clients a lot, and they work for my clients better than they work on me, if that makes any sense. And I definitely feel like my experience with the Morphe eyeshadows is that the mattes are actually really good as far as I'm concerned. It's the shimmers that need work. They're not very pigmented, and they don't give me like that shimmery payoff I want, and I have to, absolutely have to use Max Fix Plus with them, or else they will not like appear on the lid, which really sucks. So the next shade I'm going to be going into in this palette, let's see, this shade right here. I'm going to go on with the same brush. This is like my kind of shade. This is like one of those like brick reds mixed with brown. I love those shades, especially for the crease. I feel like they're perfection. I love like orange based colors for my transition shades. I feel like they work the best with my skin tone. And when I do dip my brush in the shadows, I am getting some kickback as far as like dustiness and fallout, but to me that doesn't matter. That doesn't like lessen the quality of an eyeshadow as far as I'm concerned. As long as it shows up on my lids and it's blendable and pigmented, I'm pretty happy. Okay, so I'm going to go in with a deeper shade in this palette. God, this is such a big palette. So now I'm going to go into this shade right here, placing that in my crease as well. Oh, this is a really pretty shade. In the camera, my eyeshadows are looking very orange, but I can assure you that they're really not that orange. They look more of like a brick red mixed with a tint of orange, not like super orange as they're picking up in the camera for some reason. So far, this brush is pretty decent, I cannot lie. It's like a tapered brush. I don't know the name of it. I got like a set that was pretty affordable just to try out a few different brushes. This one's pretty nice. I'm just going to go in with a Sigma E40 and just run that over with no product on it, just to make sure that they all blend together. I really want to incorporate that blue shade, and I don't really know how. I think I'm going to just do a neutral look, keep it simple for right now, or possibly use this emerald green. I don't know, I'm going to figure something out right now. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's too many options in here. Kind of wish you would have put a matte purple in here. I'm going to go in now with this hunter green, like a super deep green. It's like an army green. And I'm using another Morphe brush. I don't know the name of it. And I'm going to place this on the outer corner. And I'm just going to do like a halo eye. So I'm placing this on my outer corners and my inner corners, and a little lower on the lash line. So this color, I will say that it does need a little bit of layering because it's not bad, but it's not as dark as it looks in the pan. I did have to layer it a couple times on that side, but I feel like for dark shadows, I'm actually kind of okay with that, just for the simple fact that like when you place it down, you can just build it up, your color pigmentation, as you desire, versus like just having a ton of product on your eyes. I totally forgot that my AC was on, and I just got a new AC recently, and it is so loud. It's like a freight train in my house every time that it turns on. So sorry about that if you hear anything in the background. I just turned it off. So I'm going to go back again a little bit with some of that dark green to deepen it up just a tad. Then I'm going to go back in with that blending brush. It's the Sigma E40 that I mentioned earlier. And I'm just going to blend out any harsh lines that I might have created. So now I'm going to go in with this shade right here. I'm going to place this on the middle of my lids. And I'm not going to spray it with Fix Plus because I really want to see what it's going to look like on its own. Oh, it's super nice. Okay. This works. Alright, Jaclyn, I see you, girl. This formulation of this shadow reminds me of the Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadows, and I am a huge fan of those. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with the Touch and Soul No More Poreblem. I saw this on Sephora. It's a really affordable primer for the price point, and I don't really know if it's a pore filling primer, but it was so well rated and it seemed pretty affordable. And to me, it just glides over the skin. It really creates a really nice base. I did get the Morphe sponge, which was really recommended by Jaclyn, and based off first impressions, I wet it. This is it damp. It feels so nice. It feels like a cross between a beauty blender and the Real Techniques diamond sponge. It's got a really great like density to it. It's not too dense. It's perfect, and I feel like it's so nice. This was $6, and when I wet it, I didn't have any problems with it leaking red. I was a little concerned about that. So the foundation I'm going to be using today is going to be my Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in the shade Caramel. You know, if you watch my favorites video, that this is my current jam of the moment. And I'm just going to place this all over. I did get some sun the past week, and I was in the pool today, so I hope this is like a decent match. Oh well, I think it'd be okay. And if not, there's bronzer. We'll make it work. So I'm going to use the tapered end and not the pointed end to blend out my foundation. Seems to be blending out really well. Very comparable to a beauty blender, I would say. I most definitely will be ordering more of these when I'm in need, because this is really nice, and this was $6. Okay, so for concealer, I'm going to be using my MAC Pro Longwear, and this is in the shade NC42. I've been really enjoying this. Like, I love the Urban Decay and I love the Shape Tape, but I haven't used this in ages, and I used it recently and I brought it on a trip with me, and I was like, all right, MAC's doing it for me. So I'm going to use the pointy edge. Okay, I want to brighten underneath my eye area and a little bit in the center of my face a tad bit more. So I'm going to go in with the MAC Prep and Prime. I haven't used these in ages. This is in the color Light Boost, which is like the yellow shade. I literally just took off a whole bunch of dust off of this. Just going to throw this underneath my eyes just to brighten that area. Not directly under my eyes, bridge of my nose, my cupid bow, all your typical suspects. Bring back in with that same side. Gonna blend that all in. Now I'm going to go in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder and set underneath my eyes. I'm going to use the opposite side of where we use for our concealer. I will say that I absolutely love the way that it applies powder underneath my eyes. It doesn't bunch up, it doesn't cake up, it just disperses it, and it disperses it so well. So definitely loving that sponge so far. That's definitely a 5-star product. I think it's great. So far I'm in the love. So now for bronzing, I'm not going to do cream contour because I'm just entirely too lazy. And I'm going to go in with the Bobbi Brown bronzing powder in the color Natural 1, which looks like so. This is more of like a contouring type bronzer. So I'm going to use another one of my new Morphe brushes. This looks like a very short Ita brush, kind of like that tapered, sharp, angled kind of brush. It's going to give you your edges and your angle, and definitely a very sharp line. It is so super dense, so it's not giving me any wiggle at all. So I'm just going to lay down the product with this, I think. And then I'm going to blend it out with another Morphe brush that came. This is just, I don't even know what kind of hair it is. It gave me the sharpest angle. So I'm going to have to buff it out with a tad bit more product. So I went back in to kind of help blend that. This brush is not very soft. I will say that. I don't know if it's goat hair or like a synthetic type of goat hair brush, but it is not soft at all. So I totally forgot to do this, but I'm going to set my face, the areas that I didn't bronze, with my Laura Mercier. This is the Candle Glow Sheer Perfecting Powder in the color 3. I live for this stuff if you watch my channel. It's just a very beautiful pressed powder that I love for setting my face. And to set this, I'm using a Zoeva 101 Luxe Face Definer brush. This gives you the most beautiful finish. It's not like a stark matte finish, but it's not a dewy finish or anything like that. It just gives you like the most beautiful glow to your skin. It makes you radiate, which I absolutely love about it. So to dust off that under eye highlight and that translucent powder, I'm going to go in with my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in the color Dim Light and just use that to brush off that excess powder. And it also helps with keeping that area nice and bright. And it's also got like those beautiful flecks of shimmer in it, like the most iridescent flecks of shimmer. And I think it makes that area like very beautiful. It just makes it look so refined. Like, look how gorgeous the skin looks right now. Ugh. I'm in love with my skin products right now, like my foundation and things like that. I'm loving. Okay, so I'm going out tonight, so I want my highlight to be on fleek. So I'm going in with my tried and true trusted Makeup Geek times Kathleen Lights palette. This is still available. I did look it up. And to place this on my cheekbones and all of the areas I typically highlight, I'm going to be using this Morphe brush. This is like a tapered, bigger brush. I don't know if it's for your eyes or for your cheeks, but I'm going to try it for highlighting. I have some texture on my cheek right now. Thanks to Mother Nature. Thanks, girl. I actually really like this brush because it's giving me controlled highlighting. It's not just placing a ton of product on. It's a little bit more precise. I feel like sometimes when I place highlighter on with certain brushes, it just like poof, like highlight everywhere. And I think especially my nose, I get a little carried away. It was perfect for highlighting the nose. Cupid's bow, tad on the chin, a little flick of the wrist. Flick of the wrist. Tad on the forehead. Okay, I'm really feeling this brush. I did not contour my nose. Thank God I did not place down that product with that brush because it would have really been difficult to blend that out. So I'm going to go in with my Sigma Small Contour F05 to just contour down the sides of my nose. Today is a good makeup day. Yes, honey. You know, sometimes like you have this vision of what you want to do with your face and it just does not do that. That's how I was like feeling today because my stomach hurts, my head hurts, like everything's hurting right now. So you know when things just aren't according to plan, like everything else just goes to shit. My stomach is and my head are pretty much like, yes, girl, your makeup's looking flawless. Like, we're gonna get it together. So for blush, I'm gonna go in with this Urban Decay Jean Michael Basquiat. This palette I'm living for. I love this palette all around. I think it's such a great palette. I'm going to go in with the color Noho. Noho. And I'm going to apply this to my cheeks. I'm going to go back in with a tad more highlight. Just because I'm extra. Oh, this highlight just has me living. I live for this highlight. You guys have no idea. Like, Makeup Geek didn't even know what she did for me when she created this. So now I'm going to do my brows. I'm going to do the same brow routine that I always do. So I'm not going to film this because it's pretty repetitive at this point. So now I'm going to go back in with my Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm going to place some shadow down on my lower lash line right here, and place this on my lower lash line first. Then I'm going to go on top of it with that ivy green. Now for the ivy green shade. Okay, and I'm going to be placing a little bit of black liner. This one is from IT Cosmetics. This is actually one of my favorite black liners because it literally stays in place for forever and it is so black. And 9 times out of 10 lately when I do my makeup, I am using nudes in my waterline, but this look just definitely calls for black. And then I'm going to throw some mascara on my lower lashes. It is so weird doing a talk through. Like, I'm used to doing voiceovers, so this is like so foreign to me right now. Okay, so I'm going to throw a little bit of a highlight on my lower lash line and in my inner tear ducts. And the color that is speaking to me at the moment is this shade right here. It is like a nice champagne shade. I'm going to go in with another Morphe brush. I don't know the names of these. This kind of looks like a pencil brush, but I thought it was perfect for me for inner tear ducts. And I was right. Super soft. So that is definitely beaming out of this world. I have to say that this is like so super pigmented. I love it. You guys, look at how pigmented that is. That is crazy. The shades in this eyeshadow palette, I will say, are definitely better than the ones that I've tried in the past. I usually have to wet these to get like the color pigmentation I want. Oh. Like, can we just, I can't. If Morphe's going to be doing stuff like this, like, we need to get on it because this is definitely so much better than anything that I've used in the past. And mind you, I have 3 Morphe palettes and none of them even compare to this. Okay, so now to finish this look up, I'm going to be placing on some lipstick. This is the Hush Hush Lip Liner Crayon. This is from Buxom. I think it's a lip liner but also a lipstick. This is my first time using this product and I will say it's so creamy and so smooth. It's also very big, like it's a huge lip liner. It's my first time using this and I definitely approve. Like, look at how beautiful this shade is. I'm going to throw a gloss on top of it to finish this up. Okay, so for gloss, I'm going in with Buxom's White Russian. I'm just going to throw this on top. It's one of my favorite glosses. So this pretty much completes this look. I hope you guys enjoyed it and thank you so much for watching. Bye guys!